Above 35,000 feet, chaos explodes on a packed Los Angeles to New York flight. Karen Pierce, a white flight attendant, shrieks at Lena Carter, a black woman, to abandon her first-class seat, insisting she sneaked in. Lena refuses, cool as ice, until Karen shoves her, toppling a tray of scalding coffee onto a screaming child. Blood mingles with coffee stains as passengers freeze, Karen smirking, clueless that Lena's next play will torch her world. What secret could spin this bloody mess into a life-altering bombshell? Hey, where are you watching from? If you stand for justice, hit like, subscribe, and join us for more epic showdowns. Lena Carter sat in the plush first-class cabin of the Los Angeles to New York flight, her posture impeccable, her sharp brown eyes tracing the clouds beyond the oval window 35,000 feet below, a faint hum of engines vibrating through, the leather seat cradling her 42-year-old frame, her dark skin catching the soft glow of the overhead lights like polished obsidian, while her tailored navy suit hugged her curves with quiet authority. A single glass of water resting on the tray table in front of her, untouched except for a careful sip, she took every few minutes, her presence radiating a stillness that seemed almost magnetic, drawing the occasional glance from the handful of passengers scattered across the exclusive section, some in crisp business attire, others in casual luxury, all sipping cocktails or flipping through magazines, oblivious to the storm brewing just feet away. She adjusted the slim gold watch on her wrist, a subtle flex of wealth that didn't scream but whispered, her short black hair falling in precise waves around her face, framing a jawline that could cut glass. And though she kept her gaze fixed, outside her mind churned with the day ahead, meetings in Manhattan, deals to close, a life she'd carved from nothing, every move deliberate, every breath measured. Then came Karen Pierce, the flight attendant, a wiry woman in her late 30s with a pinched face and blonde hair pulled into a tight bun, her crisp navy uniform starched to perfection, her heels clicking down the aisle with the kind of purpose that suggested she owned the plane, not just worked it. Her pale blue eyes scanning the rows like a hawk hunting prey, her lips pursed into a thin line as if she'd tasted something sour and couldn't shake it. Her movements jerky, almost mechanical, a clipboard clutched in one hand, a pen in the other, her authority worn like a badge she'd polished too long. She stopped dead when she saw Lena, her gaze narrowing, a flicker of something dark crossing her features, suspicion or disdain or maybe both, because to Karen, Lena didn't fit. Not here, not in first class, not with that calm confidence that seemed to mock the unspoken rules Karen lived by, rules etched into her bones from years of sizing up passengers, deciding who belonged and who didn't with a glance. And Lena, with her sleek suit and steady hands, was a puzzle she couldn't solve, a square peg in a round hole she'd spent her career forcing into place. Karen's nostrils flared slightly as she stepped closer, her shadow falling over Lena's tray table, blocking the light, her voice slicing through the cabin's hum with a clipped politeness that barely masked the edge beneath it. "Ma'am, I need to see your boarding pass now." Her tone less a request than a demand, her fingers tightening around the clipboard as if it were a weapon she might wield if pushed, and the other passengers perked up, heads turning, eyes darting between, the two women sensing a scene unfolding, a quiet drama to break the monotony of their 6-hour flight. Lena didn't flinch, didn't rush, just turned her head slowly, her eyes locking onto Karen's with a steadiness that made the air feel heavier, her lips parting just enough to let out a soft, "Of course," as she reached into her blazer pocket, pulling out the crisp white boarding pass, her movement smooth, unhurried, almost regal, handing it over without breaking eye contact, her fingers brushing Karen's for a split second, a touch so light it might have been accidental, but felt loaded, charged with something neither woman could name yet. Karen snatched the pass, her eyes flicking down to the print, her brow furrowing as she read the details. Seat 2A, first class, Lena Carter, all correct, all legitimate. But that didn't stop the crease deepening between her eyebrows. Didn't stop her lips from twitching into a half sneer as she looked back up, her voice rising just enough to carry. "This says first class," she said, pausing, letting the words hang like an accusation, her tone dripping with skepticism, as if the pass itself were a lie Lena had conjured out of thin air. And the cabin grew quieter, the rustle of magazines stilled, the clink of glasses paused, every ear tuned to the exchange. Lena nodded, her expression unchanged, her voice low and firm, cutting through Karen's doubt like a blade. "Yes, that's correct. And for a moment, Karen froze, her fingers clutching the pass, her mind racing to reconcile the woman in front of her with the image she'd built in her head. A woman who, in Karen's world, didn't belong here, didn't deserve this seat, this luxury, this space. Not because of the pass, but because of something deeper, something uglier, something Karen wouldn't say aloud but wore plain as day on her face. She flipped the pass over, scanned it again, searching for a flaw, a typo, anything to justify the itch in her gut. But there was nothing, just cold, hard confirmation. And when she handed it back, her smile was tight, forced, a mask slipping over the unease bubbling beneath, her hand trembling slightly as she thrust it forward, her eyes darting away for a second before snapping back, locking onto Lena's unflinching stare. Without another word, Karen turned on her heel, her clipboard slapping against her thigh as she marched back down the aisle. But her mind was a hornet's nest, buzzing with questions she couldn't answer, doubts she couldn't shake. Because Lena's calm, her poise, her refusal to shrink under scrutiny, it gnawed at her, burrowed under her skin, and as she passed the galley she glanced back, just once, catching Lena settling back into her seat, her attention returning to the window, her fingers curling around the glass of water, lifting it to her lips with the same unshakable grace that had unsettled Karen from the start. The other passengers whispered now, their voices low but sharp, some nodding approvingly at Karen's boldness, others shifting uncomfortably, sensing the wrongness of it all, and one man, a balding guy in a gray suit 2 rows back, muttered to his neighbor, "She handled that well, keeping order up here." His tone smug, as if Karen were a hero for questioning the interloper, while a woman across the aisle, her red lipstick stark against her pale skin, frowned, her eyes lingering on Lena, wondering what she'd done to draw such fire. Karen felt their stares, their judgments, and it fueled her, stoked the ember of certainty in her chest because to her, this wasn't over. Not yet. Not when Lena sat there like she owned the place. Untouched. Untouchable. A challenge Karen couldn't let stand. Lena, meanwhile, let her jaw tighten just for a second, a flicker of steel beneath her calm, her mind already turning, calculating, because this wasn't just an annoyance, it was a gauntlet thrown down, a public shaming meant to cut deeper than words. And as she set the glass back down, her fingers steady, her breath even, she knew she'd answer it, not with shouts or tears, but with something colder, sharper, something Karen couldn't see coming. The cabin lights dimmed slightly as the plane hit a pocket of turbulence, a jolt that sent a ripple of gasps through the rows. But Lena didn't move, didn't blink, her gaze fixed on the endless sky, her silence louder than the engines, a promise of what was to come. While Karen, oblivious, adjusted her bun in the galley mirror, her reflection smirking back at her, convinced she'd won the first round, blind to the war she'd just ignited. Lena Carter sat stiffly in her first-class seat, the hum of the plane's engines a steady pulse beneath her feet as the Los Angeles skyline faded into memory 35,000 feet below, her navy suit still crisp despite the earlier clash, her sharp brown eyes flicking briefly from the window to the glass of water she'd barely touched. Her mind a steel trap processing Karen Pierce's public jab, the sting of humiliation still fresh, though her face betrayed none of it, her lips pressed into a thin line of resolve, her fingers resting lightly on the armrest, poised like a chess player mid-game. Karen, meanwhile, paced the aisle like a predator circling a kill, her blonde bun glinting under the cabin lights, her wiry frame taut with purpose, her pale blue eyes burning with something feral as she clutched her radio, her voice crackling through the static as she pressed the button. "Captain, we've got a security risk in first class, seat 2A. I need backup now." Her words sharp, deliberate, painting Lena as a threat without evidence, her lips curling into a faint smirk as she shot a glance back at her target, convinced she'd already won. The cabin buzzed with tension, passengers craning their necks, some clutching their drinks tighter, others whispering behind their hands, their eyes darting between Karen's authority and Lena's stillness, a silent question hanging in the air. Who would break first? Then the reinforcements arrived, 2 burly male attendants, their navy vests stretched tight over broad chests, their faces blank but their hands hovering near their belts, a subtle threat in their stance as they loomed over Lena's seat. One, cracking his knuckles, the other shifting his weight like a bouncer ready to eject a troublemaker. Their presence amplifying Karen's command, turning her suspicion into a spectacle. Lena looked up, her gaze steady, unflinching, meeting their eyes one by one, her voice cutting through the thick silence. "Is this really necessary?" But Karen stepped forward, her clipboard slapping against her thigh, her tone icy. "Move to coach now, or we'll make you." Her words a whip cracking through the cabin, daring Lena to resist, daring her to give them a reason. The passengers held their breath, a woman in a silk scarf clutching her pearls, a man in a pinstripe suit leaning forward, their faces a mix of shock and morbid curiosity. Some nodding faintly at Karen's control, others frowning, sensing the wrongness but too afraid to speak. Lena's jaw tightened, just a flicker, a spark of defiance in her eyes. But she saw the trap. New fighting here would only feed Karen's narrative, so she rose, slow and deliberate, her heels clicking against the floor like a metronome counting, down to something bigger. Her navy suit catching the light as she gathered her sleek black bag, slinging it over her shoulder with a grace that made the move look like a choice, not a surrender. Karen smirked wider, her chest puffing out, thinking she'd crushed the intruder, her victory etched in the way she tilted her chin, watching Lena walk down the aisle, her clipboard now a trophy of her petty triumph. The first-class passengers murmured, some relieved, others uneasy. As Lena's figure receded, her back straight, her steps measured, a queen forced off her throne but still reigning in spirit. In coach, the air was thicker, the seats narrower, the hum of chatter louder, and as Lena approached an empty row, a beefy man in a stained polo shirt, his face flushed from too many beers, sneered up at her, his voice a gravelly slur. "What, too good for us back here?" Before spitting on her polished shoe, a glob of saliva glistening on the leather, his buddies chuckling beside him, their eyes glinting with malice. Lena paused, her breath catching for a split second, then bent down, pulling a tissue from her bag, wiping the spit away with a calm that unnerved the man, his laughter faltering as she met his gaze. Her eyes cold, unyielding, a silent promise he couldn't read. She slid into the middle seat, her bag tucked beneath her, and pulled out her phone, her fingers dancing across the screen with precision, texting someone, her lips curving into the faintest smile, a secret weapon igniting in her hands while the cabin rocked faintly with turbulence, a jolt that sent the drunk man's beer sloshing onto his lap, his curses drowned by the engines. Karen, back in first class, watched from afar, her smirk fading as she caught that smile, a prick of unease stabbing her gut, something about Lena's calm gnawing at her, whispering that this wasn't over, that the woman she'd banished wasn't beaten, not yet. The racist passenger Ted scratched his stubbled chin, muttering more slurs under his breath. "Should have stayed where she belongs." His words a venomous echo of Karen's thoughts. Their hatred, a twisted bond neither acknowledged. While Lena's fingers kept moving, her screen glowing softly, her plan unfolding in silence, the plane steadied, the lights flickered, and the tension thickened. A storm brewing beneath the surface, unseen by all but Lena, who sat like a coiled spring, her poise a mask for the fire within. Hey viewers, what do you think? Comment number 1 if you're raging at Karen's power trip. Number 2 if you're rooting for Lena to flip this mess upside down. Would you have stood up to those goons or played it cool like Lena? Smash that like button if you're fired up for justice and subscribe to catch every twist. She's not done yet. So, what's cooking in Lena's mind with that mysterious, could it be the spark that burns Karen's whole game to the ground? Lena Carter sat wedged in the cramped coach seat, the faint stickiness of the armrest pressing against her navy suit. Her sharp brown eyes locked on her phone's glowing screen, 35,000 feet above the earth, her fingers still moving, with surgical precision as she fired off that cryptic text from the last skirmish, the plane's engines droning a steady rhythm, while the stink of stale beer wafted from Ted, the racist lout 2 seats over, his snores rattling through the cabin, his spit still a bitter memory on her shoe, though she'd wiped it clean with a tissue now crumpled in her bag, her posture rigid, unyielding, a fortress of calm amidst the chaos she'd just endured. Back in first class, Karen Pierce strutted past the plush seats, her blonde bun glinting like a crown under the soft lights, her wiry frame buzzing with smug energy, her pale blue eyes darting to the galley where she'd stashed her clipboard, her lips twitching into a satisfied smirk as she replayed the scene of Lena's banishment. The way those two burly attendants had loomed. The way Lena had walked away, heels clicking, head high but defeated in Karen's mind. A victory she savored, like a shot of cheap whiskey burning down her throat. The cabin hummed with the usual clatter, glasses clinking as passengers sipped their drinks, magazines rustling, a low murmur of chatter. But beneath it all, a thread of tension lingered, a ripple from Karen's power play that hadn't quite settled. Some passengers still glancing toward coach, others shrugging it off, oblivious to the fuse Lena had just lit. Then it hit. A spark from the front of the plane, a man in a charcoal suit rising from seat 3B, his broad shoulders squared, his dark skin gleaming under the lights, his voice booming through the cabin like a thunderclap. "Excuse me, ma'am, we need to talk about what you just did." His words aimed straight at Karen, his tone firm, unshakable, a lawyer's cadence honed from years in courtrooms. His name Marcus Reed, though Karen didn't know that yet, didn't know he'd been watching, recording, waiting. Karen spun around, her smirk faltering for a split second, her clipboard clutched like a shield as she snapped back. "Mind your business, sir. This doesn't concern you." Her voice sharp, cutting. But Marcus didn't flinch, didn't sit, just pulled out his phone, his thick fingers swiping the screen alive, the camera already rolling, capturing her pinched face, her starched uniform, her venom in real time, the lens a silent judge she couldn't intimidate. The cabin went still, passengers freezing mid-sip, mid-word, their eyes locking onto the showdown. A woman in a silk blouse gasping softly, a man in a baseball cap leaning forward, the air thick with anticipation as Marcus held his ground. His voice steady. "You racially profiled that woman and I'm not letting it slide, apologize now." His demand a gauntlet thrown down, a challenge Karen couldn't dodge, her pale cheeks flushing red as she stammered. I was doing my job. She didn't belong there." Her words tripping over themselves, her authority cracking under. The weight of his stare, the weight of that lens beaming her every move to the world. Down in coach, Lena's phone buzzed, a notification popping up. Marcus's live stream flickering to life on her screen. The shaky footage showing Karen's unraveling, her own face briefly visible in the background of the first-class frame, before she'd been forced out, and that faint smile crept back onto her lips. Wider now. A glint of triumph in her eyes as she watched the tide turn, her text from moments ago hitting its mark. A call to arms Marcus had answered without hesitation. The stream exploded online mid-flight, thousands of views ticking up by the second, comments flooding in. "She's a bigot. Justice for her. Karen's done." The digital roar echoing through cyberspace while the plane soared over Nevada, the Wi-Fi signal patchy but strong enough to carry the chaos. Passengers around Lena starting to whisper, some pulling out their own phones, catching the feed, their murmurs growing louder, angrier. A ripple of outrage spreading through, coach like wildfire. Karen felt it, the shift, the heat, her neck prickling as the captain's voice crackled over her radio. "Pierce, stand down. We're getting calls about this. Stop it now." His tone clipped, urgent, but she couldn't stop, wouldn't stop, her fury boiling over as she jabbed a finger at Marcus. "You're out of line. Sit down or you're next." Her threat hollow, desperate, her power slipping through her fingers like sand as Marcus kept filming, kept talking. "This is what systemic racism looks like, folks, right here, 35,000 feet up." His words a hammer pounding nails into Karen's coffin. The first-class passengers stirred, some nodding at Marcus, others glaring at Karen. A woman with diamond earrings muttering, "She's gone too far," while a guy in a polo shirt smirked, "Good for her, keeping order." The divide splitting the cabin wide open, a fault line Karen had carved herself. Lena leaned back in her coach seat, her fingers curling around her phone, her smile a blade now, cutting through the noise as she watched Karen flail, the live stream's view count hitting 50,000, 60,000, a tidal wave she'd unleashed with one text, her calm a stark contrast to the storm tearing through first class. Ted snoring beside her, oblivious, his beer-soaked shirt a pathetic footnote to her rising power. Karen's victory, that smug moment when Lena had walked away, crumbled into dust, her hands trembling as she shoved the radio back into her belt, her eyes darting to the galley, searching for an escape, a plan, anything to claw back control, her mind racing with one thought. This wasn't over. She'd fix this. She'd make Lena pay when they landed, her rage a coiled snake ready to strike harder, deadlier. The plane rocked slightly, turbulence jostling the trays. But Lena didn't move, didn't blink. Her gaze fixed on the screen, on Karen's flushed face, her stammering lips, knowing this was just the beginning, knowing Marcus's stream was a flare lighting up the night, a signal to the world that Karen's reign was cracking. That the woman she'd humiliated wasn't just a passenger, wasn't just a victim, but a force she'd underestimated, a force that would burn her world to ash. The cabin lights dimmed, the engines growled, and the tension spiked, a live wire snapping between coach and first class, between Lena's silence and Karen's fury, between the past 5 minutes and the chaos yet to come, the plane hurtling toward New York with a story no one saw coming, least of all Karen, who wiped sweat from her brow, her smirk gone, replaced by a snarl, a vow to double down, to bury Lena deeper than coach could ever hold her. Lena Carter sat in the tight coach seat, her navy suit now faintly creased from the narrow confines, her sharp brown eyes glinting with a quiet fire as she scrolled through Marcus's live stream on her phone, the view count soaring past 70,000 mid-flight, the plane slicing through the sky 35,000 feet above Arizona, her lips still curved in that faint, dangerous smile, her fingers steady despite the turbulence rattling the cabin, the stink of Ted's spilled beer lingering in the air, his snores a dull roar beside her, while the murmurs of other coach passengers grew sharper, their phones buzzing with the same footage, their whispers turning to gasps as Karen's flushed face filled their screens. Up in first class, Karen Pierce seethed, her blonde bun unraveling slightly, strands sticking to her sweaty forehead, her wiry frame vibrating with rage as she shoved her radio back into her belt, the captain's order to stand down still ringing in her ears, her pale blue eyes darting wildly around the cabin, catching the glares of passengers like Marcus, the lawyer in the charcoal suit, his phone still pointed at her, though he'd paused the stream to sip his drink, his broad shoulders relaxed, his victory smug and unshaken. Karen's chest heaved, her breath short, her mind a furnace of fury. Because this wasn't just a loss, it was a public gutting, 60,000 strangers online calling her a bigot, a racist, a nobody, her authority shredded in real time. And Lena, that woman she'd banished, was somehow behind it. Her calm a taunt Karen couldn't stomach, a wound she'd rip open wider before this flight ended. She slipped into the galley, her heels clicking fast, her hands trembling as she grabbed a tray, her eyes landing on a glinting diamond bracelet left carelessly on a first-class tray table by a sleeping woman in a velvet dress. Her snores soft, her wealth dripping from every finger, and Karen saw her chance, a twisted spark igniting in her brain, a way to bury Lena deeper than coach, deeper than Marcus's stupid video could ever reach. She snatched the bracelet, its cold stones biting into her palm, and moved like a shadow through the cabin, her clipboard abandoned, her smirk returning, darker now, as she weaved past the plush seats, past Marcus's watchful gaze, down the aisle to coach, her heart pounding with a vicious thrill, her plan snapping into place with every step. Lena didn't see her coming, her focus still on her phone, the stream replaying Karen's stammering meltdown, her smile widening as a new comment popped up. "She's toast!" But then Karen was there, looming over her seat, her voice a low, "Routine check, ma'am. Open your bag." Her tone dripping with fake politeness, her eyes glinting with malice as she leaned in close, her breath hot on Lena's face. Lena looked up, her smile fading, her brow furrowing slightly. "What's this about?" But Karen didn't answer, just yanked the sleek black bag from under the seat, her fingers fumbling the zipper open, and in one swift move, she slipped, the bracelet inside tucking it beneath a notebook, her hands quick, practiced, a thief framing a thief. Her smirk stretching wide as she stepped back, dusting her palms like she'd just finished a chore. Lena's eyes narrowed, a flicker of suspicion crossing her face. But before she could speak, Karen spun around, her radio already out, her voice loud enough for the whole coach section to hear. "Security, we've got a theft in progress, coach. Row 15, suspect's got stolen goods." Her words a hammer slamming down, her accusation ringing through the cabin like a gunshot. Passengers gasping, turning, staring at Lena with wide eyes. Ted waking with a grunt, his bleary gaze locking onto her, a sneer curling his lips. Told you she didn't belong. The plane dipped slightly, the descent toward New York beginning, the engines growling louder. But the real storm was here. Brewing in the aisle as two guards, the same burly pair from before, stormed down from first class, their vests tight, their boots thudding, their hands already reaching for their cuffs, their faces blank but eager, ready to pounce on Karen's command. Lena stood, her voice steady. "This is a lie. Check the bag yourself." But the guards didn't listen, didn't care. One grabbing her arm, the other snapping the cuffs around her wrists, the cold metal biting into her skin, her suit sleeve bunching as they yanked her forward, dragging her toward the galley, her heels scraping the floor, her phone tumbling to the seat, the stream still glowing, now capturing the chaos live as a passenger snatched it up, filming her arrest. Karen followed close, her smirk a mask of triumph, her chest swelling with glee as she watched Lena stumble, the guards shoving her into a cramped holding area near the galley, a tiny space with a flickering light, the door slamming shut behind her, locking her in with a clang that echoed through the plane. Passengers and coach erupted, some shouting, "What's happening?" Others muttering, "She stole something?" While in first class, Marcus bolted up, his drink spilling, his voice roaring, "This is insane, let her go." But the guards ignored him, their loyalty to Karen's word absolute, her lie a noose tightening around Lena's neck. Karen leaned against the galley counter, her arms crossed, her eyes glinting as she watched through a small window. Lena sitting inside, her back straight, her hands cuffed, her face calm but her mind racing, her breath even despite the steel cutting into her wrists, knowing this wasn't the end, knowing Marcus's stream was still rolling, hitting 1 million views now, the online fury swelling. Framed her, racism on full display. The digital tide turning but not fast enough to spring her yet. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "We're descending into New York, stay seated." But Karen didn't move, didn't flinch, her victory a bitter poison she drank deep, thinking she'd crushed Lena for good. Her plan airtight, the bracelet a perfect trap, her power restored in one ruthless stroke. Ted back in coach chuckled, serves her right, his buddies nodding, their hatred a chorus Karen conducted without knowing, while Lena sat in the dark, her sharp eyes tracing the walls, her mind a blade sharpening with every second, her calm a facade hiding the storm she'd unleash, because this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Karen's gloating a fleeting high she'd soon choke on. The plane tilted, the landing gear groaning, the city skyline looming through the windows. But the real crash was coming, a collision of lies and truth Karen couldn't see, her smirk blind to the million eyes watching, judging, waiting for Lena to strike back, the cabin a pressure cooker ready to blow, the stakes higher than ever. The descent into New York just the beginning of Karen's fall. Lena Carter sat in the dimly lit holding area near the galley, the cold steel cuffs digging into her wrists, her navy suit smeared with a streak of grime from the scuffle, her sharp brown eyes glinting under the flickering bulb 35,000 feet above the ground, the plane's engines growling as it descended toward New York, her breath steady despite the chaos, her mind racing behind a mask of calm. The diamond bracelet Karen had planted in her bag, a noose she hadn't slipped yet. Her phone lost in the shuffle, now in a passenger's hands. Marcus's live stream still rolling, hitting 1 million views. The online roar a distant lifeline she couldn't touch. Karen Pierce lingered outside the door, her blonde bun a sweaty mess, her wiry frame buzzing with glee, her pale blue eyes peering through the small window, her smirk wide as she watched Lena sit, shackled, her victory a bitter thrill pulsing through her veins, the captain's voice still echoing in her ears from that earlier rebuke. But now she'd flipped it, turned Lena into a thief, a criminal, her power surging back with every click of those cuffs, her chest swelling as she leaned against the galley counter, sipping water, savoring the taste of control. The cabin thrummed with tension, first-class passengers whispering, coach erupting in shouts, Marcus Reed, the lawyer in the charcoal suit, storming the aisle, his broad shoulders shoving past the burly guards, his voice a bellow, "This is a setup. Let her out now." His phone clutched tight, the stream paused but his fury live, his dark eyes blazing as he rallied a mob. 5, then 10 passengers joining him, their voices a chorus of outrage. She's innocent. Check the bag again. Their fists, banging on tray tables, their phones flashing, filming the guards' blank faces, the chaos a wave crashing against Karen's smug wall. The captain's radio crackled, his tone sharp. Pierce, we've got a riot, release her, that bracelet's not enough proof. His words a reluctant lifeline, spurred by Marcus's pressure, the growing mob, the million eyes online screaming, for justice, and Karen's smirk faltered, her fingers tightening around her glass. But she nodded, barking at the guards. Let her go, captain's orders. Her voice dripping with venom, her mind already spinning, because this wasn't defeat. Not yet, just a pause, a chance to strike harder. The door swung open, the guards uncuffing Lena with rough hands, her wrists red, raw. But she stood tall, her heels clicking as she stepped out, her suit wrinkled, but her poise intact, her sharp eyes sweeping the galley, landing on Karen for a split second, a silent vow flashing between them. Then she walked back to Coach, the mob parting, cheering. You're free! They messed up. Their voices a fleeting balm as she slid into her seat. Her bag returned, the bracelet gone. Misplaced, the captain said over the intercom. A weak apology that didn't erase the sting. Lena exhaled, her fingers trembling slightly as she retrieved her phone, texting furiously, her smile flickering back, faint but real, thinking she'd dodged the bullet, that Marcus's stand had turned the tide, the stream's million views, a shield she could wield, her breath steadying as the plane dipped lower, the New York skyline glinting through the windows, a promise of escape just 90 minutes away. Karen watched from the galley, her smirk gone, her eyes narrowing, her rage a coiled spring. Because this release wasn't a win, it was a taunt. Lena walking free a slap she'd return tenfold, her mind churning with a new plan. Her fingers, brushing her radio, her lips curling as she caught Ted's eye, the racist drunken coach awake now, his beefy frame shifting, his sneer a mirror of her own, a silent pact forming in the air. Then it hit, 5 minutes after Lena's release, Ted's gravelly voice booming through Coach. Hey, look at this! His hand thrusting up, a rusty pocket knife gleaming. Found it in her seat, she's dangerous. His words a bomb detonating. In the cabin, passengers gasping, recoiling. A woman clutching her child. A man shouting, call security. The lie so bold, so sudden, it stunned even Lena, her smile vanishing, her eyes widening as Ted waved the knife, his buddies nodding. Saw her hide it! Their chorus a venomous echo of Karen's will. The captain, panicked, barked over the radio. Lock her back up now! His voice trembling, the mob's cheers turning to screams, Marcus lunging forward. That's planted, you idiots! But the guards were already there, their boots thudding, yanking Lena from her seat, her phone slipping again, her suit tearing at the shoulder as they dragged her back to the galley, slamming her into the holding area, the door clanging shut, the flickering light her only company once more. Karen grinned, a predator's glee, her eyes locking with Ted's through the crowd, a wink passing between them. A twisted alliance sealed in that rusty blade, her victory snatched back in 5 brutal minutes. Lena's freedom a mirage shattered by a lie so vicious it choked the air. The plane rocked, the descent steepening, the cabin a cauldron of fear and fury, passengers filming, shouting, but the guards stood firm. Karen's word law again, her smirk a blade twisting in Lena's gut as she sat, shackled once more, her sharp eyes burning, her calm cracking just a sliver, her mind racing, because this wasn't just a frame-up, it was a death trap tightening. Ted's knife a noose she hadn't seen coming, Karen's revenge a beast unleashed, hungrier than before. The engines roared, the landing gear whined, and the tension spiked. Lena's fleeting hope a ghost fading in the dark. Karen's gloating a spotlight she basked in, blind to the storm still brewing, the million eyes online now a distant thunder. She'd ignored, the plane hurtling toward New York with a war no one could stop. Hey viewers, how's this hitting you? Comment number 1 if you're furious at Karen's dirty trick. Number 2 if you think Ted's the real slime here. Would you have fought back like Marcus, or stayed quiet to survive? Hit that like button if you're boiling over this injustice, and subscribe to see Lena's next move, because this fight's far from over. So with Lena locked up again, what's Karen cooking up next to keep her down? Or has she just lit a fuse she can't snuff out? Lena Carter sat shackled in the galley's holding area, the flickering bulb casting jagged shadows across her torn navy suit, her wrists throbbing under the cuffs, her sharp brown eyes blazing with a fury she barely contained. The plane's engines winding down as it touched the tarmac at JFK in New York. The rusty knife Ted had planted still a phantom blade in her mind, her breath steady but shallow. Her phone lost again in the chaos. Marcus's live stream of fading lifeline she couldn't reach. The cabin's chaos muffled through the locked door. Her calm a thin veneer over a volcano ready to erupt. Karen Pierce stood just outside, her blonde bun a sweaty tangle, her wiry frame vibrating with triumph, her pale blue eyes glinting as she adjusted her uniform, her smirk a permanent scar across her face, the captain's panicked order to lock Lena up a victory she'd orchestrated with Ted's lie, her chest swelling as she watched the passengers disembark through the window, their shouts and filming a distant hum she dismissed, her power surging back, darker, deadlier, because this wasn't just about the flight anymore, it was personal, a war she'd win on the ground. The plane jolted to a stop, the cabin doors hissing open and Karen's radio crackled, a gravelly voice cutting through. "Pierce, we've got this. Bring her out." Her ally, Vince Russo, the ground supervisor, a hulking ex-cop with a buzz cut and a scarred jaw, his 6'4" frame dwarfing the crew as he stormed aboard. His tan uniform stretched tight, his boots thudding, his crew of 5 loyal lackeys trailing behind, their eyes cold, their hands itching for action, a posse built for intimidation, not service. Lena heard the boots, felt the shift, her sharp eyes narrowing as the door swung open, Vince's shadow filling the frame, his meaty hand yanking her up, her suit ripping further at the elbow, her heels scraping as he dragged her out, his voice, a low growl. "You're in deep now, sweetheart." His words laced with a slur he didn't bother hiding, his crew snickering, one spitting on the floor near her feet, another cracking his knuckles, their loyalty to Vince a wall she couldn't breach. Karen stepped aside, her smirk widening, her arms crossed as Vince took over, her eyes locking with his, a silent pact sealed in their shared hatred. Because Lena wasn't just a passenger to crush, she was a symbol they'd erase, her poise, a taunt they'd grind into dust. The terminal swarmed with airport police, their black vests gleaming, their guns drawn, Vince barking orders. "She assaulted staff mid-flight. Cuff her, move!" His lie a sledgehammer, his report already falsified, typed up in the crew lounge before the plane even landed, claiming Lena had lunged at Karen with that knife. A story so wild it stuck, the police pouncing without question, pinning her against a cold concrete wall, her cheek pressed to the grit, her arms wrenched back, fresh cuffs snapping on. Tighter, sharper, blood trickling from a cut on her wrist. Passengers streamed out, some filming, their phones shaking. "Let her go." "This is wrong!" Their voices a frail shield as Vince's crew moved fast, snatching devices, smashing one against the floor, his bellow drowning them out. "Back off. She's dangerous." His scarred face twisting as he spat more slurs. "You people always cause trouble." His words a venomous flood, his lackeys shoving the crowd, their fists clenched, their eyes glinting with the same bile Karen wore. Lena stayed poised, her back straight despite the cuffs, her voice cutting through the din. "You'll regret this, all of you." Her tone low, lethal, a promise Vince laughed off, his meaty hand slamming her shoulder. "Shut it. You're done?" His crew nodding, one kicking her bag across the floor, papers spilling, her phone skittering into a corner. The screen cracked but glowing. Marcus's stream still alive, now at 2 million views. The online fury, a distant thunder Vince, ignored. Karen watched from the jetway, her triumph a bitter wine she drank deep, her fingers brushing her radio, her smirk a blade twisting as Lena stumbled under Vince's grip. The police hauling her toward a holding cell, their boots echoing, their guns a silent threat, the terminal a war zone of shouts and shoves, passengers filming what they could, their cries swallowed by Vince's roar. "Clear the area now." His power systemic, absolute, a machine Lena couldn't stop, not yet. The crowd thinned, some fleeing, others lingering, their phones still rolling. But Vince's crew confiscated more, smashing screens, deleting footage. Their violence a blunt, tool wiping the slate, leaving Lena alone, her suit torn, her wrists bleeding, her sharp eyes tracing Vince's hulking form, her mind a steel trap locking every detail, every slur, every shove, her whisper lost in the chaos. This isn't over. Her calm a blade sharpening with every step. The police shoved her into a cell, a dank box with a single bulb, the door slamming shut, the clang a gunshot in her ears, her breath steadying as she sat, her back against the wall, her eyes burning, knowing the system had her now, knowing Karen and Vince thought they'd won, their gloating a spotlight they basked in, blind to the storm she'd unleash. Outside, Marcus pushed through the crowd, his charcoal suit rumpled, his voice hoarse. "She's innocent. Check the footage." But Vince's crew blocked him, one slamming him against a pillar. "Back off, lawyer boy." Their threat a wall he couldn't climb, his phone confiscated, the stream cut, the 2 million eyes online, a ghost fading in the noise. Karen joined. Vince, her smirk a mirror of his sneer. Their laughter a twisted duet as they watched Lena's cell from afar, thinking she was buried, thinking the system had swallowed her whole. Her poise a memory they'd crushed under their boots. The terminal buzzed, the police radio crackling. Suspect secured. The lie chain tightening, but Lena sat still, her sharp eyes tracing the cracks in the wall, her mind racing, her calm a fortress they couldn't breach. Because this wasn't the end, it was a spark. A fuse Karen and Vince had lit. A war they'd lose when the truth hit harder than their fists. The plane silent now, the city sprawling beyond. The stakes a mountain she'd climb. Her next move a shadow they couldn't see. Lena Carter sat in the dank holding cell at JFK, the single bulb buzzing overhead, casting a sickly yellow glow across her torn navy suit, her wrists bruised beneath the cuffs, her sharp brown eyes locked on the cracked concrete wall, her breath slow and deliberate despite the blood drying on her cut wrist, the clang of the door still echoing in her ears, Vince's slurs and Karen's smirk a bitter fuel burning in her chest, the terminal's chaos a muffled roar beyond the steel, her mind a razor slicing through the haze, plotting, waiting, her poise a steel core they couldn't break. Outside, the airport buzzed with a restless crowd, passengers lingering, some filming with shaky hands, their voices a faint hum of outrage. "She's innocent. They set her up." But Vince Russo's hulking frame loomed over them, his tan uniform soaked with sweat, his scarred jaw clenched as he barked orders, his crew smashing phones, shoving bodies, their violence a blunt eraser wiping the evidence, his growl a constant threat, "Move or you're next." His 6'4" shadow a wall of menace, his loyalty to Karen a twisted thread tying their vengeance together. Karen Pierce hovered near the jetway, her blonde bun a sweaty wreck, her wiry body tense, her pale blue eyes glinting with a smug certainty, her fingers brushing her radio as she watched Vince work, her smirk a jagged edge, because Lena was locked. Up the system had swallowed her, the knife lie and assault charge a noose she'd never slip. Her triumph a dark thrill she savored, blind to the cracks forming in her plan. Then the terminal doors burst open, Marcus Reed storming through, his charcoal suit rumpled, his broad shoulders squared, his dark skin gleaming with sweat, his voice a cannon blast. "This stops now!" His thick fingers clutching a stack of papers, a cease and desist order fresh from a judge's desk, his lawyer's gait unbroken as he shoved past Vince's crew, their fists pausing mid-swing, his eyes blazing with a fury honed in courtrooms, his phone lost but his will intact. A warrior Lena had summoned with that last text before the galley trap. The crowd parted, their gasps a ripple, passengers clutching bags, workers freezing. As Marcus slapped the order into Vince's meaty hand, his voice steady. "That knife's a plant. The assault's a lie, release her or face contempt." His words a legal hammer smashing through the falsified report. The papers detailing security footage from a passenger's backup stream. A grainy clip showing Ted slipping the rusty blade under Lena's seat. Karen's nod in the background. A conspiracy. Caught in pixels Vince couldn't smash. Vince's scarred face twisted, his snarl a beast unleashed. "You're bluffing, punk!" But Marcus didn't flinch, his broad frame towering. "Check the timestamp. It's over." His tone a blade cutting through the lie. The police hesitating, their guns lowering, their vests creaking as they glanced at each other. The order's weight sinking in. A judge's name in bold ink, a leash they couldn't snap. Karen rushed forward, her smirk vanishing, her voice shrill. He's lying. Keep her locked up. But the lead cop, a wiry man with a buzz cut, snatched the papers, his eyes scanning, his jaw tightening. This checks out, Russo. Stand down. His command a reluctant retreat, his hand waving the cuffs off, the cell door groaning open. Lena stepping out, her suit torn but her head high, her heels clicking on the concrete, her sharp eyes locking onto Vince. Then Karen, a silent vow flashing. In her gaze, her poise a crown they couldn't topple. The crowd erupted, cheers exploding. She's free! Justice! Their phones flashing, filming her walk, a queen reclaiming her throne, their voices a tide washing over Vince's crew, who backed off, their fists unclenching, their eyes darting, fear creeping in where rage had ruled. Lena stopped beside Marcus, her voice low. Thank you. Her hand brushing his arm, her smile faint but real, her sharp eyes sweeping the terminal, the chaos parting around her, passengers clapping, a woman in a red coat shouting, "You showed them!" A man with a backpack nodding, "About time." The air electric with her near triumph, her breath steadying as she pulled out a spare phone from her bag, dialing a mystery contact, her voice a whisper. It's time. Her words a spark igniting something bigger, her mind already leaping, ahead, thinking she'd turned the tide that Vince and Karen were done. Vince stumbled back, his meaty hands balling into fists, his snarl a wounded animal's cry. "This ain't over, lawyer!" His crew regrouping behind him, their eyes glinting with malice, their loyalty unshaken while Karen's pale face flushed red, her wiry frame trembling, her eyes narrowing to slits. She's not winning this. Her voice a hiss, her mind racing because Lena's release wasn't a loss, it was a taunt, a challenge they'd answer with blood, their gloating shattered but their hatred a furnace roaring back to life. Marcus stood firm, his papers a shield, his voice booming. "Back off, Russo, you're exposed." But Vince laughed, a guttural sound. "We'll see about that." His scarred jaw twitching as he turned to Karen, their eyes locking, a new plan forming in the shadows, something bigger, deadlier, their rage a beast clawing free, blind to Lena's call, her whispered words a fuse they couldn't hear. The terminal pulsed, police holstering guns, passengers filming, the air thick with victory and dread. Lena walking free, her sharp eyes tracing the crowd, her torn suit a badge of survival, her mind a steel trap locking every move, every threat. Her calm a fortress they'd test again because this wasn't the end, it was a breath before the plunge. Karen and Vince plotting in silence, their counterstrike a shadow lengthening over her win, the city sprawling beyond, the stakes a cliff. She'd climb, her next move a storm they couldn't stop, not yet. The cheers a fleeting song they'd drown in chaos soon enough. Lena Carter stood in the pulsing heart of JFK's terminal, her torn Navy suit a testament to the war she'd just survived, her sharp brown eyes scanning the crowd as passengers clapped and cheered, her wrists still raw from the cuffs, her breath steady despite the blood drying on her forehead from a fresh cut, her heels clicking on the polished floor, Marcus Reed at her side, his charcoal suit wrinkled but his broad shoulders unbowed, his cease and desist order a lifeline that had sprung her from the cell, her spare phone buzzing in her hand, the mysterious "It's time" call a spark she'd ignited, her mind racing with the taste of victory. Fragile but real, the air electric with shouts of "Justice!" And "You did it!" from strangers who'd seen her walk free. Karen Pierce lurked near the jetway, her blonde bun a sweaty snarl, her wiry frame trembling with rage, her pale blue eyes burning holes into Lena's back, her smirk gone, replaced by a snarl, her triumph shredded by Marcus's legal blow, her fingers twitching as she watched Vince Russo regroup, his hulking 6'4" frame a sweating mountain, his tan uniform clinging to his scarred chest, his crew of lackeys whispering behind him, their eyes glinting with a malice that hadn't died, only deepened, their defeat a wound they'd claw open wider, deadlier, because Lena's freedom wasn't a win, it was a taunt they'd answer with ruin. The terminal buzzed, passengers filming, workers gawking, but Karen and Vince slipped into a shadowed corner, their voices low, urgent, her hiss cutting through the din. "She's not getting away, not after this." His growl a match. "I've got something, watch me bury her." His meaty hand pulling a tablet from his bag, his thick fingers tapping, planting a fake bomb thread in the airline system, linking it to Lena's name, a digital dagger forged in minutes. his scarred jaw twitching with glee as he hit send. Karen's eyes lighting up. Do it, now. Her smirk creeping back, a predator's grin, their revenge a beast roaring free. The terminal shifted, a ripple of calm before the storm. Lena brushing her torn sleeve, her sharp eyes catching Marcus's nod. We've got them on the ropes. Her voice low, steady, her smile faint but growing, thinking the tide had turned. The crowd's cheers a shield, her next move a call to press the advantage, unaware of the trap snapping shut. Then it hit, sirens screaming through the terminal, red lights flashing, SWAT bursting in, black helmets gleaming, rifles raised, boots pounding, a dozen voices shouting, "Freeze! Hands up!" Their sights locking on Lena mid-stride, Marcus spinning. "What the hell?" His words drowned as a burly officer tackled Lena to the ground, her suit ripping at the knee, her forehead slamming concrete, blood trickling warm down her cheek, her sharp eyes widening, her breath catching as cuffs snapped on, tighter than before, her body pinned, the crowd gasping, recoiling. "No! She's innocent!" Their phones flashing, but SWAT didn't flinch, their leader barking, "Bomb threat, suspect Carter, move her!" His voice a gunshot, the lie a sledgehammer. Vince had swung. Karen watched from the shadows, her smirk a blade twisting, her chest swelling as Lena struggled, Vince grinning beside her, his meaty hand brushing her shoulder. "Told you she's done," his crew fanning out, planting whispers. "She's a terrorist!" Their words poison seeping into the crowd, some shrinking back, others shouting, "Check the system!" But the police hauled Lena up, her suit shredded, her heels scraping, dragging her to a holding cell, the door slamming shut. A clang that shook the terminal. The press swarmed outside, helicopters buzzing overhead. Karen stepping forward, her voice loud. "She threatened the flight, I saw it!" Her lie a megaphone to the cameras, Vince nodding. "Found the alert myself." His tablet wiped clean, their story airtight. The crowd splitting, some believing, "She's dangerous," others raging, "It's a setup." The air thick with panic and fury. Lena's calm cracking, her sharp eyes tracing the cell's bars, her mind reeling, life in prison looming, a death sentence in all but name. Marcus lunged at the police line. "This is fake. Check the footage." His broad frame shoving, but Vince's crew blocked him, one slamming him into a wall. "Shut it, lawyer!" Their fists a wall he couldn't breach, his papers useless. Now the system a machine grinding Lena down, her call unanswered, her victory a ghost fading in the chaos. The terminal became a war zone, SWAT cordoning off the area, passengers fleeing, filming, their shouts a cacophony, Karen and Vince retreating, their grins feral, their revenge a lethal stroke they'd perfected, thinking Lena was buried. Her poise a memory they'd torched, the online storm at 3 million views a distant thunder they'd outrun. Blind to her sharp eyes burning behind bars, her mind a steel trap locking every move, every lie. Her calm a flicker they couldn't snuff because this wasn't the end. It was a plunge into hell she'd climb out of. Their gloating a spotlight they'd choke on soon. Hey viewers, how's this landing? Comment number 1 if you're screaming. At Karen and Vince's vile setup. Number 2 if you'd fight like Marcus to save Lena. Could you stay calm in her shoes? Or would you snap under that pressure? Smash that like button if you're raging for justice, and subscribe to see her claw back from this nightmare, because this story's heating up fast. So, with Lena facing a bomb rap, how deep does this conspiracy run? And what's her next play to turn this trap into their tomb? Lena Carter sat in the Stark holding cell at JFK, her torn navy suit clinging to her bruised frame, her sharp brown eyes tracing the iron bars, her forehead throbbing where blood had dried from the SWAT takedown, her wrists aching under fresh cuffs, her breath shallow but steady. The bomb threat a noose tightening around her neck. Karen and Vince's lie a death sentence echoing in her mind. The terminal's chaos a muffled roar beyond the walls. Her spare phone lost in the scuffle. Her calm a fraying thread stretched to breaking. Her mind racing, clawing for a way out of this abyss. Outside, the airport pulsed with panic. Helicopters chopping the air. News vans clogging the streets. Karen Pierce lurking near the terminal exit. Her blonde bun a sweaty snarl. Her wiry frame buzzing with glee, her pale blue eyes glinting as she fed the press. "She's a terrorist. I warned them." Her voice a venomous spike, her smirk a jagged wound. while Vince Russo towered beside her, his 6'4" bulk a sweating fortress, his tan uniform stained, his scarred jaw twitching with a grin. System caught her good, his meaty hand brushing her shoulder, their triumph a dark dance, their bomb threat a trap they thought unbreakable. Blind to the storm brewing beyond their gloating, the terminal swarmed with a fractured crowd, some fleeing, others lingering, their phones flashing, filming the aftermath, whispers turning to shouts. "She's innocent!" They framed her. A faint spark of doubt flickering through the chaos. Marcus Reed pushing through, his charcoal suit soaked with sweat, his broad shoulders shoving past Vince's crew, his voice hoarse but unbroken. "We're not done. She's getting out." His thick fingers empty of papers but his will a battering ram, his dark eyes blazing, a warrior beaten but unbowed. His last stand a call to arms Lena couldn't hear. Then it erupted, a protest surging outside the terminal doors, Marcus at the helm, his roar a beacon. Justice for Lena Carter. His broad frame waving a makeshift sign scrawled with marker, hundreds joining, their voices a tidal wave. "Free her now! No more lies." Their signs flashing. "End the frame up. Truth matters." Their feet stomping, a rhythm shaking the concrete. Passengers, workers, strangers united, their phones live streaming, the footage flooding X, 3 million. Views spiking to 4, hashtags exploding. Lena Carter, justice now. A national outcry swallowing the news cycle. The choppers circling tighter, their spotlights catching the swell. Inside, the police wavered, their vests creaking, their guns holstered. The lead cop, a wiry man with a buzz cut, clutching a radio. Crowd's out of control. What's the call? His voice tight, the SWAT leader scanning the screens, the protest size a pressure cooker, the bomb threat's flimsy evidence cracking under the weight, a judge's voice crackling through. Release her on bail, insufficient proof. Do it now. His order a lifeline forced by the uproar. The cell door groaning open, Lena stepping out, her suit shredded, her heels clicking, her sharp eyes blinking against the light, her breath catching as freedom hit. Fragile, but real. The crowd roared, a thunderclap of triumph. "She's out! We did it!" Their phones flashing, filming her walk, a bruised queen reclaiming her ground. Marcus rushing to her side, his broad hand gripping hers. "You're safe. We've got them." His voice a lifeline, her smile faint, trembling. "Thank you, all of you." Her sharp eyes sweeping the sea of faces, their cheers a balm on her wounds, her breath steadying as she stood tall, thinking the tide had turned, the 4 million eyes on line a shield. Her next move a strike she'd land hard. Karen's smirk vanished, her wiry frame stiffening, her pale face flushing red. No, this isn't happening." Her shriek lost in the noise, Vince stumbling back, his meaty fists balling. "They can't do this." His snarl a wounded beast, his crew shrinking, their eyes darting. Fear creeping where malice had ruled, their bomb plot unraveling. The judge's call a sledgehammer they couldn't dodge. Lena walked through the crowd, her torn suit a badge, her sharp eyes locking on Karen, then Vince, a silent vow flashing, her voice low to Marcus. "We've got them." Her smile a blade sharpening, her mind leaping ahead, believing she'd broken their grip, the protest a fortress they couldn't breach. Her bruises a map of survival, the city sprawling beyond, a battlefield she'd conquer. Vince regained his footing, his scarred jaw twitching, his growl low. "She's not safe yet." His meaty hand dialing a number, his voice cold. "She's out, hit her harder." His crew nodding, their eyes glinting, their loyalty a noose. Tightening again, Karen's snarl matching his. "We'll bury her for good." Her wiry frame trembling, her mind racing, because this release wasn't a loss. It was a taunt, a spark they'd douse with blood, their rage a furnace roaring. Back, blind to Lena's sharp eyes tracing their retreat, her calm a flicker they couldn't snuff. The terminal shook, the crowd's chants a heartbeat. "Lena! Lena!" Their phones live, the footage viral, the police backing off, their vests retreating, the air thick with victory and dread. Lena standing tall, her torn suit a crown, her mind a steel trap locking every threat, every move, her next call a shadow they couldn't see, because this wasn't the end. It was a breath before the plunge. Vince's call a storm brewing, Karen's snarl a blade sharpening, their counterstrike a beast waking, the 4 million eyes a thunder they'd defy, the stakes a cliff she'd climb, her fight a fire they'd feel soon enough. Lena Carter stood amidst the roaring crowd outside JFK's terminal, her torn navy suit a battered banner of survival, her sharp brown eyes glinting with a flicker of hope, her bruised wrists throbbing beneath the fading red marks, her breath steadying as the chants of "Justice for Lena" washed over her, the New York skyline sprawling behind, a jagged promise of reprieve, her spare phone clutched tight, the protests' 4 million online eyes a shield she leaned on. Marcus Reed beside her, his charcoal suit soaked with sweat, his broad shoulders a rock she'd clung to, his dark eyes warm, his thick hand gripping hers. "We've got this, Lena. They're finished." His voice a lifeline she trusted, her smile faint but real, her mind racing with plans to strike. Back, believing the tide had turned, the bomb threat a lie she'd bury them with. Karen Pierce watched from a distance, her blonde bun a sweaty tangle, her wiry frame rigid with fury, her pale blue eyes burning holes into the scene, her smirk gone, her chest heaving as Vince Russo loomed beside her, his 6'4" bulk, a sweating fortress, his tan uniform clinging to his scarred chest, his meaty hand clutching a phone, his call from moments ago a spark igniting, his growl low. "She's done when I say she's done." His scarred jaw twitching, their rage. A furnace stoked by Lena's release, their bomb plot fraying but their will a steel trap snapping shut. The crowd pulsed, a sea of signs and phones. "Free Lena forever." "End the lies." Their voices a heartbeat, news crews circling, their cameras flashing, the air thick with victory's scent. Lena stepping forward, her heels clicking, her sharp eyes sweeping the faces, her voice low to Marcus. Time to finish this. Her next move a press conference to seal their fate. Her trust in him a pillar she'd built this win on, unaware of the cracks forming beneath her feet. Vince's plan hit, silent and savage. $1 million wired to Marcus's account. A bribe slipped through back channels, his phone buzzing with a text. "Flip now, or lose everything." His broad hand trembling as he read it. His dark eyes, darting. His loyalty a thread Vince had snipped. His breath catching as he weighed the cash against Lena. The crowd's roar a distant hum. His mind flipping, a traitor born in seconds. The press conference kicked off, mics thrust forward, cameras rolling, Lena beside him, her torn suit a badge, her sharp eyes steady. "We've exposed their lies, and we'll keep fighting." Her voice a blade cutting through the noise, the crowd cheering. "Yes, tell it." Their phones live, the footage spiking to 5 million views, her smile widening, thinking Marcus would back her, seal it. Her trust a lifeline she didn't see fraying. Then Marcus stepped up, his broad frame stiff, his voice booming. "I need to clarify something," his words a jolt. Lena's smile faltering, her sharp eyes narrowing, the crowd hushing, a ripple of confusion spreading, his thick fingers brushing his suit, his dark eyes avoiding hers. "Lena paid me to fake that." Evidence, the knife, the stream, all of it, his lie a sledgehammer crashing down, the crowd gasping, "No!" "What?" Their cheers turning to boos, their phones shaking, filming the betrayal. Lena's breath catching, her sharp eyes widening. "Marcus, what are you doing?" Her voice a whisper lost in the din, her mind reeling, her pillar crumbling, his words a knife in her back she hadn't seen coming. The terminal erupted, boos thundering. "Traitor! Liar!" Some shouting. "She's guilty!" Others. "He's lying!" The crowd splitting, their faith fracturing, police rushing in, their vests gleaming, their hands yanking Lena's arms. "Conspiracy? You're under arrest!" Their cuffs snapping back on, her suit tearing further, her heels scraping as they dragged her away, her sharp eyes locking on Marcus, stunned, broken, her voice hoarse. "Why?" His broad shoulders, turning, his dark eyes cold. "I had to." His lie a poison seeping through, the $1 million a chain she couldn't see. Karen cackled from the sidelines, her wiry frame shaking, her pale face alight. "Got her!" Her voice a shriek of glee, Vince grinning, his meaty hand slapping her back. "Told you she's toast." His crew planting fake texts on Marcus's phone, proof of Lena's orders, their conspiracy a web tightening, The press swallowing it, headlines flashing. Carter paid for hoax. The 5 million eyes online flipping, some raging. Framed again, others sneering. She's done. The tide crashing against her, her freedom a ghost fading fast. Lena stumbled into the cell, the door clanging shut, her torn suit a shroud, her sharp eyes burning with betrayal, her breath ragged, her mind a steel trap locking Marcus's words, Vince's grin, Karen's laugh, her calm shattering, a scream trapped in her throat, alone now, her allies gone, decades behind bars looming, her fight a flicker they'd nearly snuffed, the crowd's boos, a distant echo, her trust a ruin she'd rebuild from ash. Karen and Vince retreated, their grins feral, their victory a bitter wine they drank deep, thinking Lena was buried, her poise a memory they'd torched, the system a machine grinding her down, blind to her sharp eyes tracing the bars, her mind clawing back because this wasn't the end. It was a plunge into darkness she'd claw out of, their gloating a spotlight they'd choke on, the stakes a mountain she'd climb, her next move a shadow they couldn't see. Not yet. The terminal, a battlefield, the war raging on. Lena Carter sat shackled in a sterile courtroom cell, her torn navy suit a tattered relic hanging off her bruised frame, her sharp brown eyes dulled by exhaustion, her wrists chafed raw under the cuffs, her breath shallow as the echo of Marcus's. Betrayal gnawed at her. The New York skyline a faint blur beyond the barred window, the clang of the terminal cell door replaced by the creak of this new prison, her mind a steel trap fighting to hold, her calm a thread snapping under the weight of a life sentence looming. The bomb threat and conspiracy charges a noose Vince and Karen had tightened, her fight a flicker buried in darkness. Outside, the courthouse buzzed with a rushed hearing. Vince Russo's hulking 6'4" frame filling the hall, his tan uniform swapped for a cheap suit, his scarred jaw twitching with a grin, his meaty hands brushing Karen Pierce's shoulder, her blonde bun a sweaty snarl, her wiry body vibrating with glee, her pale blue eyes glinting as they whispered in the corridor, their victory a bitter wine they'd guzzled, Marcus's flip a masterstroke, the fake texts a web they'd spun, their rage a furnace stoked by Lena's every breath, her release a taunt they'd crushed with this trap. The courtroom hummed, a crooked judge, Vince's brother-in-law, a paunchy man with a slick comb-over slamming his gavel. "Order! We're moving fast!" His voice a rasp, his eyes cold, his robe a cloak for corruption, the jury a puppet show, their faces blank, hand-picked, the evidence lost in transit, the passenger footage deleted, the cease and desist order shredded, the system a machine grinding Lena down, her lawyer a public defender, a nervous kid in a wrinkled tie. His voice trembling, "We need more time," but the judge sneered, "Denied, sit," his gavel a hammer sealing her fate. Karen took the stand, her wiry frame stiff, her voice loud. "She threatened me with a gun mid-flight. I saw it clear as day." Her lie a thunderclap, her pale face flushed with fake tears, her hands wringing, a performance honed in shadows, the jury nodding, the judge smirking. Vince in the back row, his grin a predator's gleam, his meaty hand scribbling notes, planting more proof. Fake logs showing Lena's threats, his crew outside, witnesses vanishing, one found dazed in an alley, another fleeing town, their silence bought or beaten, the conspiracy a noose tightening with every word. Lena sat in the dock, her sharp eyes burning, her torn suit a shroud, her voice hoarse. "That's a lie! Check the records!" But the judge banged his gavel. "Quiet, defendant!" His rasp a whip, the defender stammering. "No gun was found." But the jury didn't flinch, their eyes glazed, the courtroom a circus, the crowd outside raging. "Free Lena!" "Stop! The lies!" Their chants a distant thunder, their signs flashing, 5 million online eyes a fading storm, the glass walls shaking, but the judge's brother-in-law, Vince's kin, sneered. "Irrelevant, proceed." His bias a brick wall she couldn't climb, her fight a ghost fading fast. The hearing sped on, a blur of lies. The prosecutor, a slick man with a shark's smile piling on. "She's a danger, a terrorist, lock her up for life." His voice a venomous flood, the fake texts projected. "Pay Marcus, fake it all." The jury gasping, the defender flailing. "This is fabricated." But the judge cut him off. Overruled, move on. His gavel a gunshot, the evidence a house of cards they'd rigged, the passenger who'd filmed Ted's knife plant gone, the online stream scrubbed, the system a beast swallowing her whole, Lena's sharp eyes tracing the judge, the jury, the lies, her mind locking every detail, her calm cracking, a scream trapped in her chest, decades behind bars, a shadow closing in. Karen stepped down, her smirk a blade twisting, her wiry frame trembling with glee. Vince whispering, "She's buried," his scarred jaw twitching, his meaty hand slapping her back, their laughter a twisted duet, the courtroom a stage they'd mastered, the judge slamming his gavel. Verdict! The jury shuffling, their foreman, a gaunt man with dead eyes rising. Guilty, conspiracy, life without parole, his voice a flat drone, the crowd outside erupting. No! Rigged! Their fists pounding glass, but the bailiffs rushed. Lena, their vests gleaming, her cuffs clanking as they dragged her up, her torn suit catching, her heels scraping, the judge's rasp final. Take her away! His gavel a death knell. Lena stumbled, her sharp eyes burning, her voice a whisper. This isn't justice. Her breath ragged, her mind a steel trap holding Marcus's betrayal. Karen's lies, Vince's grin. Her calm a ruin. Alone now. Her allies dust. The cell, door slamming shut, a clang that shook her bones. Her torn suit a shroud, her fight a flicker they'd nearly snuffed. The crowd's rage a distant echo, life in prison a wall she'd face. Her last text before jail, sent from her lost phone. Activate now! A ghost they couldn't hear, her hope a ember buried in ash. Karen and Vince stood, their grins feral, their victory a bitter feast, thinking Lena was gone. Her poise a memory they'd torched, the judge nodding. Good work. His bias a brick in their wall, the system a machine they'd oiled. Blind, to her sharp eyes tracing the cell, her mind clawing back because this wasn't the end. It was a plunge into hell she'd climb from, their gloating a spotlight they'd choke on, the stakes a mountain she'd conquer, her next move a shadow they couldn't see. The protests outside a thunder they'd ignored, the war a fire they'd feel soon enough. Lena Carter sat in the dim cell beneath the courthouse, her torn navy suit a shredded emblem of her ordeal, her sharp brown eyes blazing through the gloom, her bruised wrists still raw from the cuffs, her breath steady despite the life sentence. Crashing down, the judge's gavel a fading echo, the protests outside a distant roar swallowed by concrete, her mind a steel trap holding every betrayal, every lie. Marcus's flip, Karen's smirk, Vince's grin, her calm a fortress rebuilt. From ash, her last text, activate now. Sent from her lost phone before the jail plunge, a spark she'd lit, a bomb they couldn't see. Her fight a flame they'd failed to snuff because Lena wasn't just a victim, she was a billionaire, the airline's secret owner, a titan who'd built an empire from nothing, her power a shadow poised to strike. Outside, Karen Pierce strutted, the courthouse steps, her blonde bun a sweaty wreck, her wiry frame buzzing with glee, her pale blue eyes glinting as she faced the press. She's gone for good, justice served, her voice a venomous crow, her smirk a jagged scar, while Vince Russo towered beside her. His 6'4" bulk a sweating fortress, his cheap suit straining, his scarred jaw twitching with a grin. Told you we'd bury her. His meaty hand, slapping her back, their victory a bitter feast, the rigged trial a masterpiece, Marcus's betrayal a crown they wore, the crowd's rage a noise they'd tuned out, blind to the storm breaking overhead. The courthouse hummed, the corrupt judge retreating to his chambers, his comb-over slick with sweat, his robe a cloak of shame, the jury dispersing, their blank faces fading into the city. But then it hit, a ripple through the air. Lena's board of directors, a dozen suits in crisp black storming the terminal via private jet, their voices a thunderclap. Effective immediately, Karen Pierce and Vince Russo are terminated, their decree a sledgehammer, their hands seizing assets, freezing accounts. The airline system crashing as they locked it down, a purge sparked by that final text, a signal Lena had sent to her empire, her power unveiled in a stroke that shook the earth. The press spun, cameras flashing, helicopters buzzing, a leaked video bursting from Lena's lost phone, recovered by a loyal passenger, hitting the news, 6 million views in minutes. The grainy footage showing every racist, Act, Ted planting the knife, Karen nodding, Vince forging the bomb threat, Marcus taking the bribe, the judge smirking, a tapestry of corruption unspooling live, the crowd outside erupting. She's innocent. Take them down. Their signs flashing, the online storm spiking to 7 million, a tidal wave swallowing. The lies. The truth. A blade cutting through the chaos. Karen's smirk vanished, her wiry frame trembling, her pale face draining white. No, this can't be! Her shriek lost in the din, Vince stumbling, his meaty fists flailing. What's happening? His growl a wounded beast, their empire crumbling, the board suits stripping their badges, their savings, their lives. The airline theirs no more, Lena's airline, her creation, her weapon. The revelation a gut punch they couldn't dodge, her sharp eyes unseen but felt, her calm a storm they drowned in. The judge's door burst open, feds in black vests swarming. You're under arrest, corruption. Their cuffs snapping on his wrists, his comb-over flopping, his rasp silenced. Marcus exposed in the video, his $1 million bribe a noose. Police grabbing him from a bar, his charcoal suit rumpled, his dark eyes wide. I didn't mean it. His plea a ghost fading fast, the system flipping, the liars falling. Lena's board a machine she'd built, her power a flood they couldn't stem. The cell door groaned open, a guard unlocking her cuffs. You're free, Ms. Carter, it's over. His voice shaky, her sharp eyes blinking against the light. Her torn suit a badge as she stood, her heels clicking, her breath steadying. Freedom, a crown she'd reclaimed, the courthouse a battlefield she'd won, the crowd rushing in. Lena, Lena! Their cheers a heartbeat, their phones filming her walk. A queen rising from ash, her sharp eyes sweeping the chaos, her smile faint but steel, her mind a steel trap locking every move, every fall, her empire a hammer crushing them all. Karen sank to her knees, broke, jobless, her wiry frame shaking, her pale face buried in her hands. Vince hauled off, his hulking bulk cuffed, his scarred jaw slack. How? His growl a whimper. They're gloating a poison they choked on. The terminal theirs no more. Lena buying it outright. Her billions turning it into a civil rights hub, a monument to her fight. Her sharp eyes tracing the skyline. Her torn suit, a relic she'd frame. Her calm a fortress they'd never breach again. The press swarmed. She owns it all! The headlines screamed. The video viral. 10 million views. The crowd's roar a thunderclap. The feds carting off the judge, Marcus, Vince's crew. The system a ruin she'd rebuilt. Her fight a flame they couldn't snuff. Her next move a legacy they'd feel. The city sprawling beyond. A canvas she'd paint. Karen and Vince's fall a shadow she'd cast. Her empire rising, unstoppable. The war won. The stakes hers, forever. Lena Carter's harrowing journey in this story reveals profound lessons about resilience, systemic bias, and the power of truth. First, her unshakable composure under relentless racial injustice teaches us that inner strength can outlast even the cruelest storms. Despite public humiliation, false arrests, and a rigged trial, Lena never broke, showing that endurance is a weapon against oppression. Her story underscores how deeply racism can infiltrate systems, flight crews, police, courts, turning everyday encounters into life-or-death battles, a stark reminder that prejudice isn't just personal, it's structural, woven into the fabric of authority. Yet her ultimate triumph proves that truth, when backed by power and persistence, can dismantle lies, no matter how entrenched. Lena's ownership of the airline, a secret she wielded like a sledgehammer, flipped the script, exposing her tormentors and reclaiming her narrative, a lesson in the value of hidden leverage and strategic timing. Marcus's betrayal cuts deepest, highlighting how trust can crumble under greed, urging us to guard our alliances wisely. Finally, the public's uprising shows collective action can shift tides, but only when fueled by evidence and outrage. Silence is complicity. This tale isn't just drama, it's a mirror to our world, challenging us to confront bias, fight for justice, and rise above. Lena's victory isn't the end, it's a call to keep pushing, because the war against racism rages on, and every voice matters. So what's your takeaway? How would you fight back if you were Lena, facing a system stacked against you? Drop a comment with your thoughts, hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe for more gripping tales of grit and justice. Share this with someone who needs to see it. Let's keep the conversation alive. Thanks for joining this wild ride, and here's to standing tall against the odds. Stay fierce, stay true.